Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we're visiting with Sue McEntee, the Executive Director of the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa, talking about planning ahead, retirement, what do you want to do with your money afterwards, all those good things.
Yeah, well, we'll try not to reminisce with Sue too much about our recent France pilgrimage.
Okay, no, you
plenty
can't
of stories
do that.
there. Some things we can talk about back, and some things will stay in France. But anyway,
Right.
so it'll be good.
What happens in France stays
Something like that.
Something like that? Okay.
But on this splendid fall day and the St. Vincent de Paul Friends of the Poor Walk taking place at Easter Lake this morning. Not too late maybe for some of you to get out there and that 3-mile walk, but in solidarity with those who maybe are not blessed with the material means that we have or looking for other senses of poverty of spirit. So it's a great day. This day, very special day for me, commemorating the 6th anniversary of becoming the Bishop of Des Moines, the 10th Bishop, and also the 1st anniversary for Bishop Dennis Walsh of Davenport. So it'll always be easy to remember his anniversary. So, and we look forward to being together to witness the ordination and installation of Bishop-elect Tom Hennon of Davenport to become Bishop of Baker, Oregon. That'll take place on Monday. So many of us will be rendezvousing in Bend, Oregon, where the kind of the larger city in the diocese, and so to witness the Holy Spirit coming upon him and conforming him as a successor of the apostles. Well, let's say that, So Holy Spirit, help me to speak this morning.
Easy for you to say.
So it'll be a very powerful day. And St. Vincent de Paul, his messages, obviously, to his own confreres. In founding that, we were fortunate, Sue, weren't we, to see his mortal remains in the church there, the chapel that bears his name, where the Congregation of the Mission, sometimes called the Lazarus, as they extended themselves. Our gospel this weekend, talking about the rich man and Lazarus, whom he ignored. St. Vincent de Paul spurs us to be ever attentive to those with whom we cross paths every day and to know their names and to be Christ to them as they are to us in a beautiful way. He had a special solicitude for those who were in rural areas, obviously the urban settings in which he found himself, but he wasn't just some cosmopolitan bourgeois. He was tempted to become one, but God convicted him and his path led in such a way. And so we're feeling even more, that solidarity with rural areas. He spoke about the way in which our Lord asks us to preach the gospel to the poor, and in particular to those in the country, those preachers in the towns in the country. In the Church of God, there's not a single company which has the poor for its portion. So that's where he felt prompted a special vocation to do so, and the dignity of that work, to go out in those country places where the faith could be still rooted so strongly in our diocese in the 23 counties of Southwest Iowa. And so to serve them better, the National Catholic Rural Life Conference, Jim Ennis and company, their team is going to be coming to speak and reflect with us, or the priest gather of the Diocese of Des Moines, for our annual workshop, usually the last part of September, first week. And we rotated around this week. Look out, Spirit Catholic Radio listeners. We're going to be in Omaha, a downtown place, but the National Catholic Rural Life team conducting several days of ministerial reflection, but it's also a great chance for priestly fraternity and all that were there. This is quite a day for us, and maybe after we engage Sue later on in the show, we'll talk about the dedication ceremony of the Es Salam Mosque, which many who are driving on Highway 141 past Granger going west toward Perry have seen rising up off the prairie. It's a grand day. That Bosniak Mosque, the Grand Imam, even in the United States, is going to be present, and ecumenical and interfaith leaders will be there, and I want to be present to offer solidarity with them, too. So that's quite a day. So we have the Friends of the Poor Walk, the dedication to Es Salam Mosque, and then back to St. Ambrose Cathedral, where the 19 candidates will be formally recognized. They have been aspirants for the permanent diaconate, 18 of them with their spouses, one widowed, and so that's another step forward, and where they're kind of publicly recognized as worthy candidates that God does indeed seem to be calling them to this sacrament of holy orders of the permanent diaconate. So it's a simple ceremony. It doesn't call for a lot of elaborate masters of ceremonies. So Father Trevor Shequin can stand down and his team, and Deacon Dan Maxey will be assisting me. So a great day for the Diocese of Des Moines.
True blessing. True blessing. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be visiting with Sue McEntee, the Executive Director of the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa, talking about planned giving and all sorts of things. Once you get to retirement, what are you going to do with all that money? We're going to help you with that. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're visiting with Sue McEntee, the Executive Director of the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa, talking about planned giving and all the other tools that are used through the foundation for all of our benefit.
And we'll get to the topic at hand very quickly, but just, bonjour, Sue. It's been good to be with you and Scott, your husband, on our pilgrimage. And you did such a wonderful job kind of behind the scenes coordinating so much of it and helping to work with our provider and all that. So thank you for the grace of that. I think there's graces for the diocese as well. But
absolutely.
I mentioned my 6th anniversary as Bishop of Des Moines. This is close for your anniversary as well.
Too.
So you preceded me by a few weeks, I believe. So yeah, so
can't believe it's been 6 years.
Yeah, so what a ride!
Nice.
And how you stepped forward to assist us. Your job description may be well defined by the Foundation Board, the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa, but you helped us with pandemic matters, the financing, all the kind of government things. So you were. Sue on the spot in many ways, but
and in your spare time.
So and you're a native Iowan, but you've been serving in different capacities in the Des Moines area.
Absolutely. So born and raised in Northwest Iowa in the Sioux City diocese, small town Bancroft.
One Catholic bastion there.
That's right, St. John's. One of 7 kids, 5 older brothers, 1 younger sister. So we're all M's. My mom said that she and Dad did that, so we only had to have one piece of customized luggage with the MF on it. So Mike, Mark, Marvin, Merle, Matt, Mary, Sue, Margaret, Mary Ann, and Melvin, but they called me Sue. So I always knew if it was Mary Sue, I was in trouble.
Big trouble. That's right.
Exactly. But Scott and I live in Grimes. We attend Assumption in St. Pius and have been in the Des Moines area since graduating from college way back when. So love being a part of the Diocese of Des Moines and love being a part of the Catholic Foundation.
And why is that a good fit for you? I mean, and how does that draw from some of your professional
I actually started life as a clinical dietitian. I mean, go figure.
Well, that
Here
makes
I am.
sense.
Yeah, doesn't it? But I was afforded some wonderful opportunities during my professional career and eventually landed in the fundraising entity. So I've done healthcare, higher education, senior living, and faith-based. I actually was at Sacred Heart in West Des Moines when we did the renovations there. And that's when I really knew that was something that felt right. So when Bishop Pates called about this job, I was like, oh, no, I don't think so.
I love wearing a hat.
So you were headhunted by the head of the diocese, is that right?
Yeah, he and a good friend, Nancy, and I kept saying, no, I just don't think it's the right time. And then my husband, as wise as he can be at times, said, just go talk. And so I did, and here I am today, and it's been a great blessing.
And we are grateful for it because you do bring not only your professional expertise, but your faith and your joy. And again, it's a great grace. A lot of engagement with people around the diocese. And sometimes this topic, of our charitable giving and making provision for our ultimate financial plans for our state and everything else, it's a reminder that we are not meant for this world, right? And so do you find people sometimes are a little reluctant to go there with you? Or is that something that can be gracefully kind of introduced?
I think it can go a lot of different ways, Bishop. There are times when it comes up in a conversation where I never even anticipated it coming up. And then there are other times where it's a very deliberate conversation that we have with individuals because they've requested information and they said, I just don't understand this whole estate planning thing. Can you help make it simpler? And so we have a wonderful estate planning guide that makes it easy for people to sit down in the comfort of their own home and with their family or their professionals, maybe an estate attorney or a financial advisor. Really easy to walk through and think about the kinds of things that they need to think about at the end of their life. And they are things that we don't want to think about. But once you start going through that, I think it really brings people a peace of mind to know I've dotted all the I's and I've crossed all the T's and my family knows what I want to do. One of the things that has come from many of those conversations over the past few years is, Catholic funerals. And I know you helped us with our most recent Catholic funeral planning guide, and that has been a huge...
It was a team effort. Yeah.
Huge success. I couldn't even have imagined how many people really had a desire to know what should they be thinking about and how do they assure that their desires and dreams about the end of their life really do come to fruition. So the Catholic Funeral Planning Guide and the Estate Planning Kit are really good tools.
These are separate things. They're not all bundled as one,
nope,
right?
Not all bundled. You can find them on our website at Catholic Foundation, southwestiowa.org. And you can download them to your computer, again, comfort of your home, and have them and share them with others, or we can send you physical copies. But those conversations come in lots of different fashions.
Yeah, wonderful. So, and you talk about the liturgy. We celebrated the Memorial Mass for Nancy Kilbride of Council Bluffs a couple Fridays ago, and she had planned everything. It made Monsignor Orr and all of our lives a lot easier to know her wishes, and it was very much in keeping with the Catholic sensibility of liturgy. There were no kind of weird twists in that. So it was just a very dignified and honorable thing. So we talk about the kinds of planned giving and the umbrella and, as a layman like me, when it comes to these matters, it really needs a lot of spelling it out. So there's a lot of acronyms in some of these things.
Oh, there's a lot. I tell you, when I first got into fundraising, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to remember all this? Really, the two most common planned gifts are a bequest and a charitable gift annuity. And it's like, that's
okay, a bequest I get.
Yeah, we'll throw in that acronym there, CGA.
Yeah.
But a bequest really is a very simple way of letting people know how much their organization or they as an individual mean to you through your will. You can also do beneficiary designations on insurance policies, and we can talk a little bit about that. And that's one that I really hope that if any of you take away anything from today's conversation is that, and I didn't know this, a beneficiary designation trumps a will. So if you have something in an insurance policy or IRA as a beneficiary, but you put something different in a will, it will always go back to that beneficiary designation. And so it's really...
Even if it preceded the will?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it's not the chronologically most recent?
No, because that
precedence.
Beneficiary is considered a contractual agreement, and so it cannot be broken by a will. And that has really trumped a lot of donors that I've known over the years who think, how could that have happened? So again, if there's anything you take away from today, think about your beneficiary designations and how things in your life may have changed. Maybe you have new grandchildren, you've added children to your life, maybe you have a new spouse in your life. Make sure you check those beneficiary designations and get those changed, because that is a legal document.
One of the things I learned early on was that, you think, oh, I want to leave $5,000 to this or $10,000 that or $500 to this. And it's much better to give a percentage, because if you end up using a lot of your assets for healthcare or whatever, you may not have $10,000 left to give to that particular gift. But if you say, I'm going to give 10% to the church, then 10% of whatever you have is good.
Yeah. And I would agree with you. And yet I just got a packet from a law firm this week from somebody who's past a donor, and every single thing they did was dollar amounts. But then they had to do an addendum years later to say, okay, if that doesn't work. So you're right. It does save you time and money, with legal fees, to just put in percents of what you want to give to individuals or organizations.
You notice that was 10% to the church. You caught that, right, Bishop?
Only 10. Okay. People may think, oh, there has to be a certain threshold before it's even worth it. But any amount of resources that one has accumulated in life, right? One has the opportunity to be charitable.
Bishop, you can be 18 years old and be a planned giver by simply putting a beneficiary designation on a life insurance policy. So I think a lot of people hear that term estate planning or planned giving and think, oh, I have to have a lot of money and I need to be older. Absolutely not. All the young people out there that might be listening today, you should know that you can make an impact in your life by just doing a beneficiary designation. It doesn't take anything out of your wallet, out of your bank account, and in the long run, you're helping someone down the road. So you don't have to have a certain threshold of assets, and you don't have to be really 18 years of age or older, and you can be a plan giver.
Well, and young people oftentimes, well, we all do, oftentimes have life insurance as a part of your benefit plan where you work. And so you may be, I'm not going to buy life insurance. Well, you have it. So pay attention to how you're designating those beneficiaries.
Right. And I like to tell people when you do those things, it's kind of like a life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. You live a really long time and it never comes to fruition. Okay. So it's the thought that counts. And strongly encourage people, again, beneficiary designations are a very easy way of leaving something to your favorite not-for-profit, your church, your school, or individuals.
Wow. So a young person who has student loans, it would probably be best to take care of those before you're designating other things. Or do you find somebody who might be doing both, right? Kind of coordinating things in there.
Absolutely.
Or they've received a life insurance policy from a parent, perhaps. Wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A term that I hear a lot in foundation meetings and other things are donor-advised funds and things like that. Can you distinguish those from us between something like the other kinds of contributions that people make?
So two terms or acronyms that people might hear are DAFs, donor-advised funds, and qualified charitable distributions. DAFs are a wonderful tool for people who want to bunch gifts. Because of some of the changes in the amount of money that you have to give each year in order to get the charitable deduction, a DAF is usually good to, put chunks of money together. What it is it's an individual fund where you donate money into the donor-advised fund. You can name it whatever you want. It could be the McEntee Foundation Fund, McEntee Family Fund, whatever. You get an immediate charitable tax deduction, but you've given those funds to either a community foundation, the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa, or another not-for-profit entity. And now over the course of your life or the lives of others, you can advise how those funds are used. So you can take the money out, do it towards your tithing, to your alma mater, to Iowa Catholic Radio, all kinds of different entities. Your qualified charitable distribution, a lot of people may know more about mandatory distributions from your IRA, but now you can take that mandatory distribution and turn it into a charitable gift. In doing so, you take whatever that amount is each year and you say, instead of me taking that money and putting it in my checking account, I'm going to send it directly to a charity of my choice, and then that doesn't count towards my income for that particular year. It has been a wonderful tool for retirees and a way for them to say, in many cases, they'll say, Sue, I really don't need to take that first mandatory distribution. I don't need those funds right now. Then use it for your charitable giving. So donor-advised funds and qualified charitable distributions are two really important terms to think about, to understand, and to utilize for your philanthropy in life.
So I'm only partly tongue-in-cheek here, but a donor-advised fund, you could donate it to yourself or not?
No, you
that's
cannot.
Not eligible because it has to be a registered
it has to go to
organization.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for instance, at the Catholic Foundation, we do offer donor-advised funds. And when an individual goes online and wants to make a distribution or advise a gift out of their DAF fund, they have to put in the name of the charity that it's going to, and it does run through a listing of entities that are legal charities in the United States.
Okay.
Well, and I have to wear my old hat of CTO because not only do they not have to claim it as income, they get a 75% tax credit, and so it's a double benefit.
Absolutely.
Or it's 75% benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another really good one, Jean, to bring up in the fact that a lot of private business owners should really look at the CTO organization as a way to be philanthropic, but also tax credits. Who doesn't like those?
Yeah. Who wants to pay income tax?
It's like getting a Target gift card, but for your taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
We were talking about St. Vincent de Paul and his solicitude for not only the poor, but the people in rural areas. Folks who have farmland, I mean, there's a lot of assets in this state that are rooted in the soil.
And, the one thing that's happening right now, Bishop, is harvest. Driving in this morning, there were farmers taking their beans in. Gifts of grain are an incredible thing for individuals who are cash farmers to do. It's not a charitable tax deduction. It's an income reduction. I mean, how often do you get to reduce your income and all the other things that are tied to that with a gift? And it's very easy to do. You simply drop the grain off at a grain elevator, tell them you want to give it to the Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa for, whatever endowment fund at the diocese or a parish or a school. And then we, in turn, sell it immediately, and the money goes back to that entity. But the important thing in that scenario is you don't sell the grain, you actually gift it, and then we take it from there.
And so whatever the price of beans are today is the amount of the gift.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's impressive. And are we tied or related to any particular grain handling places? So, all right.
Any elevator can do
Any
that.
elevator can do it. Wonderful. All right.
We need to take a break, Bishop. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Sue McEntee, Executive Director of Catholic Foundation of Southwest Iowa. You want to learn more about the Catholic Foundation? Simply go to CatholicFoundationIowa.org. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
And thank you, Sue, for staying with us. The word elevator, yes. People listening.
It's a toughie.
I know. But so back, making it personal. So we've talked about some of these financial instruments, but who are the people who are realizing this in their lives?
I think most individuals would be amazed at the broad nature of those who leave planned gifts to the diocese or to their church or to their favorite not-for-profit. Some of the most blessed gifts that I see come through the foundation are from some of our religious folks within the diocese, those who live very simple lives and yet put away a little bit of money, each month, each year. Maybe things come to them from their family and they set that aside, and upon their death, they leave the most incredible gifts to their parishes, to the seminarian fund, to their alma maters, to lots of wonderful organizations within our diocese and beyond. So people should understand that you don't have to have tremendous means in order to make a tremendous gift at the end of your life. Because if you put just a little bit away and it grows at all over the years that you're alive, you can make a meaningful impact. I work with a 93-year-old woman who over the years has written 6 charitable gift annuities. So she's had little bits of money that have come to her from her family along her life, and she takes that and she puts it into this tool, which means she gives us a lump sum of money, and then every year for the rest of her life, based on her age at the time of the gift, we send her so much money. Every time she gets those checks, she'll call and say, Sue, this has been the best thing I've ever done because I really didn't need the money up front, but now I can use this to give back again. So a gift she gave, she gets back and she gives again. Most recently, we had a donor pass away, unfortunately, but she and her husband back in 2009 wrote a charitable gift annuity for just $5,000. Doesn't seem like much, but every year for their lives, they received $305. He passed away, and then she continued to receive it, and she passed away most recently. So that $5,000 has paid them all these years, $305 a year, and when they died, it left their church $3,300.
It still had that much.
And you think, how does that work? Well, it's the power of giving. And there are a lot of different tools that people can use to make a planned gift. A charitable gift annuity is one. We've talked about beneficiary designations and bequests through wills. Lots of ways that you can make a big impact at the end of your life, but I would encourage people to make some of those gifts known during your life so that you can be celebrated for what you're going to do at the end of your life. I always find it kind of sad when somebody passes away and they've made this incredible gift to an organization and we're celebrating them and they're not there. So
that's the gift of humility.
It is the gift of humility. Yeah. I still love to be able to thank them, and I'm blessed being in the position when I do know about those that I can thank them during their lifetime. But planned giving doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be meaningful to you and to the the causes that you love.
And on that level of being meaningful in our few remaining seconds here, just again to remind people that the fund managers that we enlist here in the Catholic Foundation are very conscious of Catholic values.
Absolutely.
Socially responsible investing, and so that level of compliance with Catholic friendly values. So we're not engaged in any kind of practices which would confound our faith.
No. We can assure that, at least as of this morning, we're 97% compliant with USCCB Catholic values
United
investing.
States Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very proud of that.
Yeah, well, and it allows me to go in with my head held high when we have the Domestic Justice and Human Development Committee, which will be discussing this very topic here in about 10 days. So, Sue, thank you for all you do, and the compliment, Jean, your expertise and insights as well. And hopefully this will fall well on people's hearts, and what is the Holy Spirit maybe prompting them to respond.
It's been another great show. Thank you, Sue. And thanks to all of our listeners, whether you're in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thanks to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.